Silence is a powerful force that we often overlook in our noisy world. But I'm here to tell you that mastering the art of silence can change your life in ways you never imagined. Today, we're going to dive deep into a truth that has the power to transform your relationships, your career, and your very destiny. Are you ready? Always be silent in 5 situations. This isn't just a catchy phrase. It's a principle that can elevate you to new heights of success and fulfillment. Now, I want you to lean in and listen closely, because what I'm about to share with you could be the key that unlocks doors you've been struggling to open for years. First, let's address the elephant in the room. We live in a world that's constantly shouting. Everyone's vying for attention, trying to make their voice heard above the noise. But here's the truth. Sometimes the most powerful statement you can make is no statement at all. Silence, when used strategically, can speak volumes. And now I'm not talking about being a wallflower or shrinking into the background. No! I'm talking about harnessing the power of silence to amplify your impact. It's about knowing when to speak and, more importantly, when to listen. It's about understanding that every word that leaves your mouth should have purpose and power. Let's break down these 5 crucial situations where silence isn't just golden, it's absolutely necessary for your growth and success. Now, situation number, when you're angry. Or how many times have we all fallen into this trap? Something or someone pushes our buttons, and suddenly we are like a volcano ready to erupt. But let me tell you something, erupting rarely solves anything. In fact, it often makes the situation much, much worse. When anger rises within you, that's your cue to step back and be silent. Take a deep breath. Count to 10 if you need to. Because here's the thing. Anger clouds our judgment. It makes us say things we don't mean and can't take back. Words spoken in anger can destroy relationships, ruin reputations, and close doors of opportunity. I remember a time when I was younger, full of fire and quick to speak my mind. There was a situation at work where I felt I was being treated unfairly. My blood was boiling, and I was ready to march into my boss's office and give him a piece of my mind. But something held me back. Maybe it was divine intervention, or maybe it was the wisdom of my parents echoing in my head. Whatever it was, I chose silence instead of confrontation. But you know what? That silence saved my career. But 2 days later, I found out that what I perceived as unfair treatment was actually a misunderstanding. If I had spoken in anger, I would have burned bridges that were essential for my future success. Instead, my silence gave me time to cool down, gather information, and approach the situation with a clear head. So the next time anger threatens to make you explode, remember, situation number 2. When you don't have all the facts, in this age of instant information, we often feel pressure to have an opinion on everything. But here's a revolutionary idea. You don't need to comment on things you don't fully understand. In fact, doing so can be dangerous. Careless in the face of incomplete information isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It shows that you value truth over the appearance of knowledge. It demonstrates humility and a willingness to learn. And let me tell you, these are qualities that will take you far in life. Think about the great leaders throughout history. The ones who made a real, lasting impact. They weren't the ones who spoke first and thought later. No, they were the ones who listened, who gathered information, who took the time to understand before they acted. I once had the privilege of meeting a successful businessman who embodied this principle. In meetings, he would often remain quiet while others debated and argued. But when he finally spoke, everyone listened. Why? Because they knew that his words were backed by careful thought and complete information. This man told me something I'll never forget. He said, in a world where everyone's trying to be heard, be the one who listens. Knowledge is power, but wisdom is knowing when to use it. So, the next time you find yourself in a situation where you don't have all the facts, resist the urge to fill the silence with speculation. Instead, use that silence as an opportunity to learn, to observe, to gather information. Your words will carry so much more weight when they're backed by understanding. Situation number, when it's not your story to tell. So we live in a world that's obsessed with sharing. Every detail of our lives is broadcast for the world to see. But here's the truth that many have forgotten. Not every story is ours to tell. Silence in this context is about respect. It's about recognizing the boundaries between your life and the lives of others. It's about understanding that trust is a precious commodity, and once broken, it's incredibly hard to rebuild. I've seen friendships destroyed and careers ruined because someone couldn't resist the urge to share information that wasn't theirs to share. The temporary thrill of having insider knowledge or being the one to break news isn't worth the long-term damage it can cause. But it's not just about avoiding negative consequences. Being silent when it's not your story to tell also builds your reputation as someone who can be trusted. And trust, my friends, is the foundation of all successful relationships. I remember a time when I was entrusted with sensitive information about a colleague. The information was juicy, the kind of thing that would have made for great conversation at the water cooler. But I knew it wasn't my place to share it. So I remained silent, even when others were speculating and spreading rumors. Months later, that colleague approached me. They had found out that I knew their secret, but had chosen not to share it. The gratitude in their eyes was all the confirmation I needed that I had made the right choice. That moment of silence strengthened our relationship and opened up new opportunities for collaboration that I never could have anticipated. So when you find yourself privy to information that isn't yours to share, embrace the power of silence. Be a vault, not a megaphone. Your integrity will speak volumes. Situation number 5. When you're tempted to make excuses, they're so easy to make, aren't they? When things don't go our way, when we fall short of expectations, it's human nature to want to explain, to justify, to make excuses. But let me tell you something, successful people don't make excuses. They make changes. Silence in the face of failure or criticism isn't about accepting blame you don't deserve. It's about taking responsibility for your life and your actions. It's about using that moment of silence to reflect, to learn, and to grow. When you make excuses, you give away your power. You're essentially saying, I'm not in control of my life. External factors are. But when you choose silence instead of excuses, you're saying, I own this. I can learn from this. I learned this lesson the hard way. Early in my career, I was working on a important project and I missed a crucial deadline. When my supervisor called me into his office, I had a list of excuses ready to go. The traffic was bad. My computer crashed. My dog ate my homework. Okay, maybe not that last one, but you get the idea. But as I opened my mouth to start explaining, something stopped me. I saw the disappointment in my supervisor's eyes, and I realized that no excuse was going to change the fact that I had let the team down. So instead of speaking, I remained silent. I listened to his feedback. I acknowledged my mistake. And then I asked, what can I do to make this right? That moment of silence, that refusal to make excuses, changed the entire dynamic of the conversation. Instead of being defensive, I became proactive. Instead of dwelling on the past, we started focusing on solutions for the future. And you know what? That project ended up being a huge success. All because I chose silence over excuses in that critical moment. But the next time you're tempted to make excuses, pause. Be silent. Use that moment to listen, to learn, and to chart a path forward. Your silence in that moment can be the first step towards your future success. When you're on the verge of success, this might seem counterintuitive. After all, when we're close to achieving something great, isn't that the time to shout it from the rooftops? But let me tell you something. Premature celebration has killed more dreams than failure ever did. Silence when you're on the verge of success is about focus. It's about maintaining your concentration until you cross that finish line. It's about understanding that the race isn't over until it's over. It's more than that. Silence in these moments is also about humility. It's about Recognizing that success is a journey, not a destination, is about understanding that today's success is tomorrow's starting point. I've seen so many people falter at the last hurdle because they lost focus. They started celebrating before the deal was signed, before the project was completed, before the goal was actually achieved. And in that moment of premature jubilation, they let their guard down. They lost their edge. But those who maintain their silence will keep their focus until the very end. Those are the ones who not only achieve success but sustain it. They're the ones who turn one success into a string of victories. I remember working with a young entrepreneur who was on the verge of securing a major contract. It was a deal that would have put his company on the map. As we got closer and closer to finalizing the agreement, he became more and more excited. He wanted everyone to start making plans based on the money that was about to come in. I advised him to stay silent. Do keep his focus. That as if the deal wasn't done until the ink was dry on the contract. It wasn't easy for him. The temptation to celebrate, to let out that pent-up excitement was almost overwhelming. But he maintained his silence and his focus. And it's a good thing he did. Because at the last minute, a competitor swooped in with a counter-offer. If my young friend had been celebrating prematurely, he might have missed this development. Not because he remained focused. He was able to negotiate, to sweeten his own offer, and ultimately to secure the contract. So when you find yourself on the verge of success, that's your cue to double down on your silence. Maintain your focus. Keep your humility and push through until you've actually achieved your goal. Now, I can see some of you shifting in your seats. You're thinking, but isn't communication important? Aren't we supposed to speak up to make our voices heard? And you're absolutely right. Communication is crucial. But here's the thing. Effective communication isn't just about speaking. It's about knowing when to speak and when to be silent. These 5 situations we've discussed, they're not about silencing you. They're about empowering you. They're about giving you control over your words, your actions, and ultimately your destiny. Think about it. When you're silent in anger, you're in control of your emotions. When you're silent without all the facts, you're in control of your credibility. When you're silent about other stories, you're in control of your being silent. Instead of making excuses, you're in control of your growth. And when you're silent on the verge of success, you're in control of your focus. This kind of intentional silence isn't passive. It's not about being a doormat or letting others walk all over you. No. This silence is active. It's powerful. It's a choice you make to elevate yourself and your interactions with others. But like any powerful tool, silence requires practice to master. It's not always easy to hold your tongue when emotions are running high. It's not always comfortable to stay quiet when others are speaking. But I promise you, the more you practice this principle, the more natural it will become. And the results will speak for themselves. Start small. The next time you feel anger rising, take a deep breath and count to 10 before you speak. The next time you're in a meeting and you don't have all the information, resist the urge of chiming just to be heard. Practice keeping confidences, even small ones. When you make a mistake, catch yourself before the excuses start flowing. And when you're working towards a goal, keep your head down and your mouth shut until you've actually achieved it. As you practice, you'll start to notice changes. You'll find that people respect you more. They'll listen more attentively when you do speak because they know your words carry weight. You'll make better decisions because you're not reacting emotionally or speaking without full information. Your relationships will deepen because people will trust you with their stories. You'll grow faster because you're focusing on solutions instead of excuses. And you'll achieve more because you're maintaining your focus until the very end. But it goes beyond that. This principle of strategic silence doesn't just change how others perceive you. It changes how you perceive yourself. You'll start to see yourself as someone who is in control, someone who is thoughtful, someone who can be trusted. And let me tell you, when you start seeing yourself that way, that's when real transformation begins. You see, success isn't just about what you do. It's about who you become in the process. By mastering the art of silence in these 5 key situations, you're becoming someone who is emotionally intelligent, intellectually humble, impeccably trustworthy, personally responsible, and laser focused on achievement. You're becoming a person of substance, a person of impact, a person who can truly make a difference in this world. I want you to imagine for a moment. Imagine a world where everyone practiced this principle. A world where people responded to anger with reflection instead of reaction. A world where opinions were based on facts rather than speculation. A world where trust was valued and protected. A world where people took responsibility for their actions instead of making excuses. A world where success was pursued with unwavering focus and humility. That world would be transformative, wouldn't it? Well, here's the beautiful thing. That transformation can start with you, right here, right now. Every time you choose silence in one of these 5 situations, you're not just changing your own life. You're setting an example for others. You're creating a ripple effect that can change your family, your workplace, your community, and beyond. You have the power to be a catalyst for positive change simply by mastering the art of strategic silence. It's a small action with enormous potential. I'm going to challenge you today. I'll challenge you to embrace the power of silence, to recognize these 5 situations in your daily life, and to make a conscious choice to remain silent. It won't be easy at first. You might falter. You might slip back into old habits. But don't get discouraged. Remember, we're not aiming for perfection. We're aiming for progress. Start with one situation. Maybe it's controlling your anger. Maybe it's resisting the urge to speak without all the facts. Whatever it is, focus on that one area until it becomes second nature. Then move on to the next, step by step, situation by situation. You build the skill until it becomes a core part of who you are. And as you do, I want you to pay attention. Notice how your relationships change. Notice how people respond to you differently. Notice how you feel about yourself. Because I promise you the changes will come. They might be subtle at first, but over time, they'll be undeniable. But see, this principle, always be silent in 5 situations. It's more than just a catchy phrase. It's a lifestyle. It's a way of moving through the world with an intention, with wisdom, with power. It's about understanding that your words have power and wielding that power responsibly. It's about recognizing that sometimes the most impactful thing you can say is nothing at all. It's about being secure enough in yourself to not need to fill every silence, to not need to have the last word, to not need to prove yourself at every turn. This principle is about becoming the eye of the storm. While chaos swirls around you, anger, misinformation, gossip, excuses, premature celebration, you remain calm, centered, focused. You become a beacon of stability in an unstable world. And people will notice. They'll be drawn to your calm, to your wisdom, to your strength. But here's the most beautiful part. As you practice this principle, as you master the art of strategic silence, you'll find that when you do speak, your words carry incredible weight. Because people will know that when you open your mouth, it's because you have something truly valuable to say. Your words will be anticipated, respected, valued. Imagine that for a moment. Imagine having that kind of impact with your words. Imagine being the person that others turn to for wisdom, for guidance, for truth. That's the power of mastering silence. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. You might be worried that practicing silence in these situations might make you seem weak or passive or unengaged. But let me assure you, nothing could be further from the truth. True strength isn't about dominating every conversation or having an opinion on every topic. It's about knowing when to speak and when to listen, when to act and when to observe. It's about having the self-control and wisdom to choose your words and actions carefully. When you master the art of strategic silence, you're demonstrating a level of emotional intelligence and self-awareness that sets you apart. You're showing that you're not ruled by your impulses or driven by the need for constant validation. Instead, you're guided by wisdom, patience, and a deep understanding of human nature. Think about the people you most admire in your life. The true leaders, the visionaries, the ones who've made a real difference. Chances are they're not the loudest voices in the room. They're often the ones who listen more than they speak, who think before they act, who choose their words carefully. By practicing silence in these 5 key situations, you're developing the same qualities that make great leaders great. You're cultivating patience, developing discernment, building trust, taking responsibility, and maintaining focus. These are the hallmarks of true strength and character. But let's be clear, this isn't about becoming a silent observer in your own life. It's about being intentional with your words and actions. It's about understanding the power of timing, of context, of knowing not just what to say, but when to say it. When you're silent in anger, you're not being passive, you're being strategic. You're giving yourself time to cool down, to think clearly, to respond rather than react. This kind of emotional control is a sign of true maturity and strength. When you're silent without all the facts, you're not being ignorant, you're being wise. You're showing that you value truth over the appearance of knowledge. You're demonstrating humility and a willingness to learn. In a world of hot takes and instant opinions, this kind of measured approach stands out. When you're silent about other stories, you're not being aloof, you're being trustworthy. You're showing that you can be counted on, that you respect boundaries, that you value relationships over gossip. This kind of integrity is rare and valuable. When you're silent instead of making excuses, you're not being weak, you're being accountable. You're showing that you take responsibility for your actions, that you're focused on solutions rather than blame. This kind of ownership is what separates leaders from followers. And when you're silent on the verge of success, you're not being modest. You're being focused. You're showing that you understand success is a journey, not a destination. You're demonstrating the kind of steady determination that turns single achievements into lasting success. As you practice this principle, you'll find that it changes not just how others perceive you, but how you perceive yourself. You'll start to see yourself as someone who is in control, who is thoughtful, who can be trusted. You'll develop a quiet confidence that comes from knowing you don't need to prove yourself at every. This shift in self-perception is powerful. It changes how you carry yourself, how you interact with others, how you approach challenges. You'll find yourself becoming more patient, more understanding, more resilient. You'll be less reactive, less easily provoked, less swayed by the opinions of others. But perhaps most importantly, you'll find that your relationships deepen and improve. When you're not constantly fighting to be heard, when you're truly listening and observing, you create space for real connection. People will feel more comfortable around you, more willing to open up, more likely to trust you with their thoughts and feelings. In your professional life, this principle can be a game changer. In meetings, you'll be the one who speaks less but says more. Your words will carry weight because people know you don't speak unless you have something valuable to contribute. You'll be seen as thoughtful, strategic, someone who can be trusted with important decisions. In your personal life, this principle can transform your relationships. By controlling your anger, you will have fewer conflicts and resolve disagreements more easily. By respecting others' privacy, you'll build deeper, more trusting friendships. By taking responsibility, instead of making excuses, you earn respect and admiration from those around you. But here's the thing. Mastering this principle takes time and practice. It's not about perfection, it's about progress. There will be times when you slip up, when you speak in anger or make excuses or share something you shouldn't. That's okay. The important thing is to recognize these moments, learn from them, and keep trying. They're small. The next time you feel anger rising, take a deep breath and count to 10 before you speak. The next time you're in a conversation and realize you don't have all the facts, practice saying, I don't know enough about that to comment. When someone shares a secret with you, Make a conscious effort to keep it to yourself. Even if you're tempted to share, as you practice, you'll start to notice changes. You'll find yourself feeling calmer, more in control. You'll notice that people listen more attentively when you do speak. You'll see your relationships improving, your reputation growing, your influence expanding. But remember, this isn't about becoming silent all the time. It's about being strategic with your silence, using it as a tool to enhance your communication and your impact. There will still be times when it's important to speak up, to share your ideas, to stand up for what you believe in. The key is to do so thoughtfully, intentionally, from a place of wisdom rather than impulse. Now, this principle, always be silent in 5 situations. It's really about developing wisdom. It's about understanding the power of words and wielding that power responsibly. It's about recognizing that sometimes the most impactful thing you can do is nothing at all. In a world that's constantly noisy, where everyone is vying for attention, where opinions are shared without thought and words are thrown around carelessly, your strategic silence will stand out. It will be a breath of fresh air, a moment of calm in the chaos. And people will notice. They'll notice your emotional control when others are losing their temper. They'll notice your humility when others are pretending to know everything. They'll notice your trustworthiness when others are spreading gossip. They'll notice your accountability when others are making excuses. And they'll notice your focus and determination when others are celebrating prematurely. These qualities, emotional intelligence, humility, integrity, accountability, focus. These are the qualities of true leaders. By mastering the art of strategic silence, you're developing these qualities in yourself. You're becoming the kind of person that others want to follow, the kind of person who can truly make a difference in the world. But it goes beyond just personal development. By practicing this principle, you're also creating a ripple effect that can change your environment. When you respond to anger with calm, you de-escalate tense situations. When you admit to not knowing something, you create a space where others feel safe to learn and grow. When you keep confidences, you build a culture of trust. When you take responsibility, you inspire others to do the same. And when you maintain focus in the face of potential success, you motivate others to push through to achievement. Imagine if everyone in your workplace practiced these principles. Conflicts would be resolved more easily. Decisions would be made based on facts rather than speculation. Trust would be the norm rather than the exception. People will focus on solutions instead of blame. And success would be pursued with unwavering determination. Now imagine if these principles spread to your community, your country, the world. The impact would be truly transformative. And it all starts with you, with your choice to be silent in these 5 key situations. So I challenge you today. I challenge you to embrace the power of strategic silence, to recognize these situations in your daily life, and to make a conscious choice to remain silent. It won't be easy at first. This might feel uncomfortable. You might worry that you're missing out on opportunities to be heard. But trust in the process. Trust that your silence is speaking volumes. Trust that by choosing your words carefully, by valuing quality over quantity in your communication, you're actually increasing your impact. Start today. Start with one situation. Maybe it's controlling your anger. Maybe it's admitting when you don't know something. Whatever it is, focus on that one area until it becomes second nature. Then move on to the next. Step by step, situation by situation. You'll build this skill until it becomes a core part of who you are. And as you do, pay attention to the changes around you. Notice how people respond to you differently. Notice how your relationships deepen. Notice how your influence grows. Because I promise you, the changes will come. They might be subtle at first, but over time, they'll be undeniable. Remember, true strength isn't about dominating every conversation or having an opinion on every topic. It's about knowing when to speak and when to listen, when to act and when to observe. It's about having the self-control and wisdom to choose your words and actions carefully. By mastering the art of strategic silence, you're not just changing your communication style. You're transforming yourself You're becoming someone who is emotionally intelligent, intellectually humble, impeccably trustworthy, personally responsible, and laser focused on achievement. You're becoming a person of substance, a person of impact, a person who can truly make a difference in this world. Embrace the power of silence. Use it wisely. Let it be your secret weapon, your hidden strength. And watch as it transforms not just your life, but the lives of those around you. Because in a world that's constantly shouting, your strategic silence will speak volumes.